Today I took another day off because I slept funny last night, and I woke up with a sore back, which for me a sore back is just muscle spasms, and they go away within a day. Of all I need to do is just sit, not do anything. Walk actually is good for me, my sore back, but it only lasts a day, and then the next day I'm fine. So yeah, I didn't dig into the pile today. Uh, I did move that lawnmower to my mother's house, though. Shouldn't have done that, but I did. It needed to be done. Trash has been picked up. I have empty dumpsters ready to go for the next round of pile digging and treasure hunting. That should resume tomorrow. So in the meantime, I was thinking, because I always think, I don't know if that's pretty dangerous, about why. I used to have a theory, actually, let's start with that, of why I was a hoarder, or why I became a hoarder, or whatever. And I think it's full of holes now because you don't really know what makes a person a hoarder. They don't know. Clinically, they don't know. It could be hereditary, genetic. You follow after your parents. All kinds of things that they believe it could be. And in my case, I used to think it was from my childhood because I was a hoarder when I was a kid. My mother used to organize my hoarding room when I was younger. In college, when I was a hoarder, I was just younger and more motivated, and I would routinely hoard and then clean the hoard, then hoard again, then clean the hoard. It was weird. I remember that. I used to take pictures of it, by the way, before and after. I'd be all proud of myself. Then I moved back in with my parents for a little bit. Again, my mother right behind me organized my hoard, my little hoard in my room. Then I met my wife. We moved in together. I hoarded there. Not the same, but somewhat. Then I moved here, hoarded here. And I used to think it had to do with me not being able to fulfill my childhood dreams and feeling trapped, like, not trapped. I had a great childhood, by the way. Not trapped as in, like, how can I say this? Like I had bad parents and I was like, trapped. No. I had great parents. Don't get me wrong. They just didn't understand how to take a child who had visions of fantastical worlds and fantastical things that he could have gone into a career like that in those days, because I grew up in the mid 60s, 70s and 80s, 90s, and whatever, I was born in 1963. But the things that I wanted to do were not easily attainable then. And it would have taken a family we had the resources, but we would have needed maybe, I don't know, how am I going to put this I don't want to insult my father and mother. They're great parents, but they were ethnic. They came from war-torn Europe to America, and they did the best they could. They weren't highly educated, but they did amazing things with what little knowledge they had, and perseverance and common sense. So I have no regrets. But had they been, I don't know, more outgoing, maybe. I don't know what the word is. They could have seen that I was leaning towards something in an industry that was new then in the world, or in America, actually. In the world. No, it was in America. 1977 was Star Wars. I was 14 years old. It changed my life. That's all I used to talk about. I wanted to be a special effects guy, but nobody heard it. Nobody heard it then. It wasn't something that you did. You had to be out in California. You had to be connected. You had to know someone. And the funny thing about it, I remember a crushing point in my life where my mother, when I was in high school, maybe 10th, 11th grade, I don't think I was a senior yet. I was living in Pennsylvania because my parents in 1979 bought a house in Pennsylvania to put us through this high school that they wanted us to go through in Pennsylvania because we had relatives in this part of PA. And they wanted us to move closer to the families because where we lived is very remote here. So we moved to Pennsylvania. Here I am, going to high school there. I called those the numb years because everything was just like that. I just went through it, didn't adapt, just did the motions. Completely different environment than my entire middle, grade school to ninth grade here. But either way, my mother has a friend, a childhood friend from Greece who works in Hollywood and is a mechanical effects engineer. And he visits the house. And my eyes go, wong, a connection. And I start picking his brain and talking to him, and he gets excited to hear the excitement in my voice and the desire to want to get involved in the industry. At that time, it was the Star Trek movies. Captain Kirk and Spock had, Star Trek had finished the series, and they were making the 70s. It was the 70s and the 80s Star Trek movies. And he was working on those. He was a mechanical effects engineer for Paramount Pictures. And he tells me stories about this book that had inspired him, and I would read this book, and I can't remember what it was, obviously. I wrote it down. But after he leaves the house and goes about his merry way, I'm all jumping around going, oh, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And my parents quickly squashed the whole thing by diminishing him as a dreamer. They said, oh, he wanted to be an actor. He came here trying to become an actor, and he never made it as an actor, so then he became a mechanical effects engineer, and this and that and the other thing. And I thought, so what? He seems happy as fuck, man. He was so enthusiastic and what he did, and he told me how he did all these stunts and tricks and stuff, and I was just gobbledygooked and fascinated, and I was just like, my parents just crushed it all. But they didn't understand. They just didn't understand. It was not their way of life. It wasn't, they weren't being malicious. They were trying to be practical in those days. And it was the best they knew how. We have since had, now that they're in their 80s, and I'm in my 60s, we sit down now every day. I visit them every day. And we talk about these things and how we, like my mom is totally into technology and iPhones. My father's talking about reincarnation. I mean, they've changed who they are from those days. It's weird. And we talk about the mistakes we've made and all this stuff. It's great now. It's a whole different relationship we have. And we just reminisce, and it's like water under the bridge. What are you going to do? It's made who we are today, and we're wonderful people, and everybody loves everybody, and we're a great family. But, oh well. So, c'est la vie, But yeah, I almost, had that moment of chasing my dream. But yeah, then I went on to college and tried to become a mechanical engineer, and that failed, and because I didn't want to do it, and I quickly faded out of school. I didn't fail out, I faded out. I stopped taking classes, and my parents said, okay, fine, we're not paying for it. I said, I didn't want you to pay for it anyway because I didn't want to go. And then I started going to another college as a Bachelor of Science, and then I lived at school for 7 years, and I got a job, and this and that, and then eventually I came back to work for the family business because it was safe. And again, I did it, and again, I felt trapped, but it was my own fault because I didn't have enough guts to go out on my own and try to make my own fortune. Even though, the funny thing about it is my father encouraged that. That's what he wanted the whole time. He says, I didn't want you to work in a business. I wanted you to be something else, But he wanted me to be something greater than he was, than a businessman, restaurant owner. He wanted me to be like it was better. Like being a restaurant owner was worse than being an engineer nowadays. Or, well, actually, to tell you the truth, if I had actually ended up working in the special effects industry, in the film, model making, all that kind of stuff that I wanted to do, it wouldn't have mattered to me what monetary value I got out of it. It would have been my dream job. It would have been my absolute what I wanted to do with my life. So I would have done it anyway. In other words, if somebody said, "Look, in those days, you can come in and sweep the floors for us," I would have been, "Yeah, I'll work my way up the ladder. I'll do whatever just to get in the door." Had that happened then. Like if I was in college and somebody had a connection. I could have made those connections in those days when I was free, when I was by myself in my 20s in college. I could easily have gone away and done things, but I just stayed close to home. I always, in college, was close to home, and I'd visit all the time, and the family was always close, even though it was stressful. And I'd work the business in the summertime because it was good money. And it was easy for me because I had done it my whole life. And yeah, I took the simple road. But in the end, it worked out because I persevered, and my brother helped a lot, and he persevered. To be honest with you, to bring him into the picture a little bit, because I became partners with my father at some point. He came in as a partner. My father got so old, he slowly faded out of the business. And my brother and I took on responsibilities, but we weren't allowed to make any changes because of the old man. The old man was very strict. And then finally, when he just gave up and says, do whatever you want, my brother took over the reins and just went with it. And just took the business to another level, positive level, very good level. And we're doing great now. So there's that. And it's less stressful. And I hate to say it, it wasn't stressful because of my dad, but it was stressful because of his old ways. And we weren't allowed to cut our teeth on the way business is being run now because things change. And my whole life, that's what was happening. It was this struggle of me trying to go one way and my father pushing me his way. At least that was one of the struggles, not the major struggle, but it was one of the struggles. And I think that's what gave me depression and so on and so forth. Now he has no say in my life anymore. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. He's 86 years old. He could give two craps. Like I said, we're having discussions about reincarnation. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. Oh man, you think as you get older, you become closer to God, and I think he has, but he's questioning things. He says, yeah, reincarnation. I think it's wonderful. So there you go. I don't know why I'm a hoarder. I probably went off on too many tangents. And the video probably is boring. I apologize if it is. But you know, I don't know. I just don't know. That was pretty much my young life. And even my adult life was nothing exciting. It was, work, 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 work. So, comment. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe. Like, subscribe, share. And remember, I love you. Be safe. And I'll see you later.